Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I decided that I was going to record my process in making this vintage Halloween flip book for my halfway to Halloween swap that I'm hosting on my Instagram. So what I'm going to do is, I typically work all over the place. I mean, if you look at my living room right now, my stuff is all over the floor. It just kind of works like a puzzle. I grab little bits from here and there. So I just wanted to show you initially the layout. I already started working on the front cover. I wanted to show you the layout first, and then after that you guys could just watch as I craft along, listen to some music, but let me go through it here. So again, like I said, I will be making it a vintage flip book. Most of the stuff that I'm using is the Tim Holtz vintage ephemera pack, so it's the Halloween one. And I'm also going to be using this awesome paper pad. If you know where I can get another one of these, let me know. This is the first time I'm going to open it up, and my heart hurts a little bit. I just love it. It's so gorgeous. So I'm going to be using this really hauntingly awesome paper pad. And then, like I said, the ephemera, and then also some vintage book pages. And I will also be using some distress inks by Tim Holtz. I will be using the black soot, the vintage photo, and the tea dye. And that's pretty much it. Some eyelash trim in black, just to give it more of that vintage theme. Maybe some resin pieces, I haven't decided. And if I add anything else, I will let you know. And of course, some glue and some scissors and a cutting board. But just watch along. Most of this will be sped up, so because it does take me a while sometimes to make these. But enjoy. Oh, actually, before I speed that up, let me show you the layout of my flip book. So what I did is I just got some white cardstock, and I glued 3 squares together initially, and the size of them are 6 by 6, and so I cut out 3, and the way I glued them together is you can see it better here. I took you're just gonna need 3 white cardstock sheets. I only use 3, so I cut my 6 by 6, and then with those scraps, I ended up cutting these little rectangular pieces and folded them in half. And this is what's going to hold the binding together. I love doing this more than washi tape, because washi tape falls apart. I mean, you could glue it, but I think this is much more sturdier, so I did that on both sides. And then I ended up using more of the scraps from the paper to create these flip-ups. And the flip-ups, if you want me to give you an approximate size, it's still about 6 by 6 lengthwise, or widthwise. Lengthwise, I would probably say maybe 4.5 inches. And then same thing, I did the binding with the scraps that I had. So you have one flip up here, one flip down in the middle, and then another flip up in the last page. And that's pretty much it for my layout. And then of course when, sorry, my fingers are all dirty. I did some painting. I was painting a box for this swap that I'm doing. But yes, so you're wondering maybe what are you gonna do about the white edges? When I do the distressing, that'll either darken up, or I'll go through it with a black paint marker or a Sharpie just to darken up those edges. But okay, let's get started. So here I am using some foam tape. I decided that it needed a little bit more, so I got these pebbles enamel dots to just give it a little bit more of a third element. Since the eyelash trim is kind of thin, I just doubled it. That way it gives it a little bit more volume. Also, it got kind of sticky on my fingers, so I decided to use the back of a watercolor pen. You could use whatever. That way it doesn't adhere to your fingers and it's a little bit easier to use. The cover came out really cool. I really like the eyelash trim. It definitely gives it that vintage vibe. Here you just want to be careful because you have the eyelash trim if you decide to put eyelash trim, and just be careful not to trim it. If I were to do it again, I would add the paper first and then the eyelash trim to avoid having to go so carefully around it. not being too careful when I'm adding the distress ink and it getting on the other pages, because I will cover those with other paper anyway, so just keep that in mind. If you are working and you've already added paper onto the other pages, just add something to protect your other pages. What I did is I trimmed this envelope just a tad so it would work perfectly with my page. Wow, so we are currently at 25 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and stop as this will be part 1. Click on the link for part 2, and I hope you join me in finishing this vintage flip book.